Oh, I
Got
don't
it.
have a,
You
I don't have a
forgot.
goat. I don't have a goat. Where's my goat? Here he is. Which one? Which one? I I just realized I have 3 screaming goats because I've got the 2 goats, and then I also have the button.
You have. Oh, that's right. You have the button goat.
I think we should bring. I think we should bring the button to the future shows so that people can push the
Yeah.
goat button when they want to, celebrate a big card or something like that.
There
I'll
you
set this
go.
aside so it reminds me. We can talk about that when we have our show dinner, celebration dinner from our previous show, which is a little overdue at this point. But
That'll work.
yeah, when we go to do that, and it'll be a little fun added thing. So since we're already there, let's start with that. We'll talk about the goat show.
The goat show is there a
How
goat
about
show?
that? There is going to be a goat show June 8th at historic Riverside Ballroom in Green Bay, Wisconsin, as per previous shows. Nothing super new to point out. We did get a video from our winner of the Pokemon ETB, a nice young man who's very excited to get his box. Got delayed a little bit. He was sick for like the whole week after the show, and then he was out of town. They were on vacation or something, must have been during spring break. So
Yeah.
took a little while to get it to him, but he got it. I think he's going to rip it. I believe that's his plan. So, maybe we'll get a follow-up later on. We'll see. But very exciting to see him, get the prize and be excited about it. So I don't know if we're going to have an additional big item to give away. We're talking to some vendors. It looks like that might be the case. But for right now, our main item is going to be an autographed Marcus Allen helmet, mini helmet. Hall of Fame running back for the 49ers and the Raiders, I believe, right? Did he play for anybody else?
He also played for. I think he went to the Chiefs too for a little bit. I pulled one of his cards the other day. I was like, I forgot he played there.
You're right. That's it. The Chiefs. I knew there was another one. So that's going to be the big drawing item up to this point. We're going to have some packs, some rippable packs. We got a bunch of kids packs that I'm going to put together. We had some cards donated from one of the vendors. Some decent stuff. So it's base cards, but there's some good players and stuff, and there's some shiny stuff. So I think kids will dig that, and they're free, of course. So that can't argue with that price. But yeah, we're looking forward to it. We're going to have our planning meeting. I think next weekend is when we're doing that, where we have our dinner. Yeah, we're have our dinner. We'll go over some, final details and really get stuff pushed out. The flyers out already. We're booking tables. We booked 2 more tables today, I believe. It's funny, once you put a post up, it's like, oh yeah, I got a book for the goat show. So the post is kind of fun because it's a sort of a reminder to those that want to get in and just haven't done it yet. So we don't have any comments yet. That can't be right.
Did you remember to put it on YouTube?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. We have 7 watchers. We just don't have any comments yet. All right, there's the flyer. Charlie's got it up there so you can see the autographed helmet. We are going to do Hide a Goat again. So Hide a Goat again. Hide a Goat again. You like that?
Hide the goat again.
Hide a Goat again. So we're going to have that and it's going to be with different dealers this time. So you're going to find the goat, bring the goat up to us. We'll give you some goat bucks. Good for that show only to spend at any dealer table of your choosing. Any dealer table. And then, of course, the dealer can claim that for the cash at the end of the show. Highly popular and successful last show. I expect that to be the case again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's it for the goat show. No giant revelations over this past week. We had a lot of big things happen the previous week. So this one, this week is just kind of a week that's in the waiting until we get there. We do have the draft coming up in a couple of weeks. So I do have passes to the draft, so I'll be attending that. I'm going to try to make some videos. I think that could be fun. Most people don't get to experience a draft, so Probably more the NFL experience stuff and some of the pop-ups as opposed to the actual like sitting there waiting for the picks kind of video, which is streamed everywhere anyway.
Yeah, so my organization is a sponsor, so they're giving away a couple of VIP passes. So I put my name in the hat for that. Maybe I'll snag a couple of VIP passes for one night.
Why not? Can't hurt, right? You got as good a chance as anybody.
I did sign up with the app for the access every day, though.
Yeah, that's what I got. I think that's going to be good enough for me if I can get into some of the experience stuff and, check out some of the pop-ups and just some of the bands. I don't even really know who's playing there yet, but I think it'll just be fun and something different, than what normally is happening around town here. So I think that's part of the fun.
Yeah.
To get out. I did find out that there is an Uber like pooling designation over at it's going to be right by the visitor center and Cabela's on Lombardi Avenue there, for those that aren't familiar with the area.
That makes some sense.
Lombardi is right off the main highway where most people will be coming in for the event. And as soon as you turn off, there's a Cabela's, there's the visitor center, there's some office buildings and rental space and stuff. And then you have, Luna calls it Packerland. But it's kind of like some playground stuff and some restaurants and, recreational area and stuff for people to enjoy the Lambeau area. Great. Yeah. And then right across the street from that is Lambeau Field. So that's where we plan to kind of take our Uber stop to, and then we'll walk the rest of that way. So it's not too far a walk, about a half a city block or 3/4 of a city block, something like that.
Right.
So hopefully the weather will be decent. I think that'll be a big factor in the success of this whole thing. In where we live, weather is pretty iffy in April. Better than March, but because March was kind of a real wild card.
Today was this year, horrible. It was ugly out.
Yeah, it's it rains one day, it hails another day, and then you get a little bit of snow, and then you get freezing overnight, and then it's there's things that are happening. So we'll see. We'll see how nice it'll be out there. Hopefully it'll be good that way. I don't even care if it's a little bit cold. I'll throw a hoodie on. I'll throw no matter what, in April, it's going to feel better than it did in February when I was out there. So I can handle that pretty well. It's going to be more the rain, snow, sleet. We can avoid that. That would be really nice.
Yeah.
I do have some people staying with me, so I pretty much have to go no matter what happens. But should be a fun time. I'm excited for it. It feels like it's been talked about forever.
Yeah.
It'll just be nice to be here and get it done to some degree. Just get our roads back opened and.
You're right. We have been talking about it forever, trying to get the draft here in the Green Bay area. So it's a big deal that it's finally here because, it gets announced, 2 years ago? But it was 5, 10, 15 years. People would talk about it every year. Oh, could we get the draft here? Could we get people talk about the Super Bowl too. That would never happen because, cold weather and open stadium. But
right.
So it was a big deal when it was announced we did win the draft. And I know it's a lot of people's hard work for a long time paying off and finally getting realized.
Yeah. And, like I said, I've got somebody who's working pretty regularly with the NFL on this and has been since the beginning. And they said the NFL's been really good, which I'm kind of surprised. I thought they would kind of bully their way in and say, we need this and we want that. And, well, you don't know, But he said, he said they've been really good. Like, okay, well, what business is this going to inconvenience, and can we relocate them? Can we put a different area for them to park, or a way
Yeah.
for them to get in, or get their customers in, or whatever it is. So they were really wanting to work with what we needed, as opposed to what they needed, which I was a little surprised to hear. So that's good news. I think that's what you need on something like this for sure. I turned my light a little bit. It's not quite bright enough. So that's kind of the big happenings around here over the next couple of weeks. It should be interesting to see what happens. I mean, we're gonna have Shedeur Sanders in town. I mean, Dion's gonna be here, and it's crazy. We had Elon Musk here a couple of days ago.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That got a little weird. From what I understand, he had a hard time. Well, weather was not good, which is of course always bad for airplanes. But from what I understand, he had a hard time even getting the plane landed. Like they were going to have to circle and stuff, and I don't know. That's why he was so late to the whatever he was here trying to do. So
yeah,
that's been kind of interesting. So our little town has a lot going on in the next, over these last few weeks. Yeah, again, it'll be kind of nice when it's over, to be honest with you. These towns that it's like constant tourism, like I don't know how they deal with that. That's got to be not fun in a lot of ways. I mean, it creates a lot of industry. There's money that comes in. There's jobs. So it's definitely something you want.
yeah.
But it's also a pain in the butt. So, especially for those who are not benefiting from, those things occurring. We're just here, and it's happening, and we have to deal with it.
Right.
The NFL's not paying me to be here. That's for damn sure. So, but it'll be good for the city. They can kind of see what's going on over in Packerland, and hopefully talk a little bit about what else is good and going on in the area, and any kind of pump up is generally a good one.
Yep, for sure.
So one of the first topics I want to talk about is listing. We haven't talked about it in a while. We all say, yep, list, and kind of share I grab this stack from here, or I know you do like a specific day. Mondays I do, racing. Tuesdays I do baseball, whatever it is.
Right.
I don't really do it that way. I get bored listing certain things, so I just turn away from it and I start listing something else. I try to list what I think will sell the fastest. Generally, it's my most recent pickups go first, because I bought based on what I felt like was going to sell. I don't have a ton of Bobby Witts hanging around in my boxes, but that's if I'm at a box digging, Bobby Witts is probably something I'm going to buy. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I want to get those up right away. There was some talk in the Discord today about using the eBay multiple listing tool. And I haven't tried it at all since beta. So I was like, you know what? There's some people using it, and it's free, and it seems like it's been doing a better job. I went and tried it today. After being on Card Dealer Pro this long, no. And you can't do any non-sport cards.
Yeah.
So that kind of nixed that for me. But I'm going to continue to try to watch it, and see if they bring it to a point, because I would love to get out of. I like Card Dealer Pro. I'm a big fan, and it's done my business very well. But I'd love to get out of the monthly expense.
Sure. Yeah.
Of using it for listing. I still, I know some people are saying, well, you don't even need the scanner. You can just no. The scanner's awesome. It's worth every. So that one, to me, that conversation, I was like, no. For me, and I get it. If you're only listing 40 or 50 cards a week, it's fine. Yeah, you don't need a scanner. You're not going to get enough out of it. But I scanned almost 700 cards today, so there's no way I would get that done, plus my parents' taxes and I went with my wife to go pick up a piece of furniture, and like I got a lot done today, and most of it is due to the fact that I had the scanner and it sped a lot of my process up.
And good news for you, I am leaving for Madtown in the morning for a number of days, so I don't need the scanner back anytime soon. You got like 4 more days yet before I'd be
Yeah,
leaving.
and I've only got 200 scans left, so I might bump up for this month because I still have so much non-sport Star Wars stuff I can scan. There's
Yeah.
a lot of the sets that don't scan, like I was kind of hoping the Evolutions would scan because they're a foil, but kind of a duller
Plain
foil.
foil. Yeah.
Yeah, no go. All of them. We were just talking about this in Discord too. All of them get cut off, so none of the top of the picture or the bottom of the picture show up. And I scanned. If I scan a stack of 40 and 3 or 4 cards show up that way, fine. I can still use the scanner and I'll just pull out the ones that are really chopped off, or if they're not chopped off, I just leave them. But when I scan 40 cards and 36 of them,
Yeah,
you
that's a
know,
problem.
there's no point. That's one of the things I hate about Card Dealer Pro because I scan those in. Well, never mind. That wouldn't matter because they wouldn't get to Card Dealer Pro. But anyway, because I would see that in my scan folder before I would have to pay Card Dealer Pro to put them up there. But
True. Yeah.
but yeah, it's just kind of obnoxious. And then I go, oh man, and I have this many of these things, that I have to put on, and now I gotta do them the old fashioned way. And the other thing with listing is I'm adding my banner into all my photo listings, so that adds a few seconds here or there on it as well. So listing has gotten different for me in a way. I have a lot more time now than I've ever had before because I'm basically maxed out in the sports store, and I don't have to race to 60K on the non-sport. I don't feel so. And you just don't get as much non-sport to list, so it's not like you're going to constantly have to push to list, and a lot of it can be scanned, which makes it quick. So I started with this box today. This is all my Star Wars Galaxy stuff, and so it's this stuff, the Star Wars Galaxy, where it's like the
sure,
art style cards, and this box was full, and with using the scanner, this is all I got left is that little stack.
Yep.
So they go so fast, and most non-sport is that way. It's not as a lot of it is not as shiny, other than the ultra modern stuff. So yeah, scanning. I still feel like I have the right process to list the way I'm doing it now, using the scanner as much as I can, using Card Dealer Pro. When I'm photographing, using my own, my banners on it just for branding identification purposes, and to keep from somebody else using your photos. That does happen too.
Yeah.
People will steal your photos off of eBay and use it for something else. So kind of watermarks it. But that's kind of where I'm at, and just working on the non-sports. And I list I'll sell a couple hundred sports cards in a day, so the next day I'll list a couple of stacks of sports cards, and then boom, that's it, and I'm maxed out again. So it's mainly just kind of keeping that status quo in that store, and then my building efforts being in the other store. I'm at about 7,300 now in the non-sports store.
Okay.
So it's growing pretty quick. So we haven't talked about listing in quite a while. Has anything changed for you strategic? I know you have your photo box now, which is working awesome.
Yeah. So that there are a couple things that I've changed in the last quarter. One is the photo box that I custom made. That has shortened the time it takes me to get a picture just right. Like I don't spend any of the time I used to trying to get the lighting just right and stuff. Like I put it in there, I hit the button to turn on the lights, and I'm good to go. I put my camera on top, I zoom it in, and then I can fly through. I can't quite go through them as fast as a scanner, but I would say it's not that far off. I mean, you do
Yeah.
your scans much faster than me because I do a higher DPI.
Yeah.
I can take photos of 50 cards in like 2 minutes and not have to retake any of them, right?
Right.
And then I
Right.
just transfer them to my computer and throw them into CDP when I don't have the scanner. Now, would I do 50 cards faster than that with the scanner? Sure, but what's really the difference between a minute and 2 minutes? I mean, over the course of the day, yes, that all adds up in the course of a week. That's why I do use the scanner when I have it. But before, when I was doing it, I was fighting the lights so bad because when I'm using my phone, I'm usually doing shiny cards, right?
Right.
And if you saw my videos, I showed some examples of you would see the ring light above or to the side or whatever.
Or the phone.
Yeah, and it would drive me nuts. Or you would see my hands like this, and I'm like,
Yep.
that's just not the image I want to put out there. Is it still going to sell? Probably. But it wasn't the image I wanted people to see when they think of my store, right?
Yeah.
So that's changed a lot. I've changed my descriptions. So I have a stock description I've added in with more store information and how I ship and what my return policy is. I put that on most of my listings now. It's also uploaded in the CDP. The only time I don't have it is when I do a pure phone listing because you can't do the stock description with your phone.
Yeah, unless you copy and paste, and do it like the old school way.
I'm not going to do that on everyone, right?
Right.
So, so those are the big things that I've changed on my listings. I've gone back and forth on certain fields. So at the end of last year, I was kind of going more your direction where I started leaving out a lot of fields. I know we've talked about this a lot, and you feel like a lot of those fields aren't that important. I still felt like there's 3 or 4 I ended up going back after a month or two and starting to put in again because I think they make a difference in search results. Do I think someone reads all those fields when they're looking at a card? Absolutely not. But I do think they might make a difference in search results. So I kind of took a better safe than sorry approach to it. It's things like card size, making sure even though the team and the player name is in my title, I'll put it in the details as well.
Yeah, I do too.
And there was a good month or so where I said, you know what? I am putting too much time into making sure all those details are in there, especially if they're already in the title. It's like I'm just duplicating it. But then we're the same. We're always tweaking. We're always researching. We're always getting other people's input. And someone made a convincing argument to me that the search results really are driven by the item details more than the title. So I took that to heart and I started putting some of it back in. And, my sales are up in February. My sales were up in March. So I can't narrow it down to exactly why. But those are the things that I've changed and seem to be positive. We set our goals at the beginning of the year too. The other thing I've changed is in shipping. I know we were talking about listing, but in shipping, I send out a lot more of these with orders now. And I am well on my way to reaching my goal of increasing store followers this year. I'm up about 40 followers from the start of the year. And my goal was to be up 100 at the end of the year. Well, I think the way it's going, I'm going to surpass that.
Sure. Yeah, I think there isn't enough emphasis on marketing materials. We don't really talk about that a whole lot, but yeah, I think thank you stickers, business cards, anything you can do to get that person to remember who you are. Will help you as things go forward. And don't forget about the people who bought from you. Make sure you're sending them
Yeah.
Don't just create a coupon, send them the coupons, create the newsletters, keep engaged, because that's what, just like social media, that's what keeps it alive.
Yep.
You have to keep putting your face in front of somebody, or they're going to just go somewhere else. So yeah, I think those are all kind of good update things that you're doing. Fields, again, there's so many. You have to remember. So this is something I always consider when I'm looking at fields.
I gotta adjust my lighting. Sorry.
eBay, yeah, sure. eBay is not just a place to sell cards. It's to sell everything.
Yeah.
So they're going to have all kinds of fields that really don't matter in what we do or even apply to it. Card size, if it's vintage or not. I don't know that is really going to affect anybody's search result. I guess if they typed in like vintage Joe Namath cards, maybe if you had vintage in there instead of modern, it would, or not yes to vintage and not no to vintage. Maybe it would show up in more listings, or searches. I don't know. Right.
Features, I like to do base versus parallel in the features.
I do that. I guess I could pull it up and tell you all the ones that I use. But yeah, I do team, I do set.
Yeah.
Let's see, do I have any sports ones in here? I'm on my other store, so let me see. Yeah, and don't start a second store unless you can be really organized. That's my tip on that one. Because
that makes sense.
It's a thing. And if, obviously you got to have time too. Let me see.
Card number. What else do I use? I like to add HOF in the features for any Hall of Famers.
Yep, I do that. I do that in the title too.
Do you?
Yep.
I tend to run out of spaces in titles a lot, so I don't really mess around too much with that.
HOF is pretty small, so that's kind of why I do it. So I do player athlete, I do season, I do manufacturer, parallel or variety, features, which is where you said base set, parallel, insert, serial numbered. Try to put as much of that in there as I can. The set, team, league, autographed, I do no, because I just want that to obviously I put yes if it's autographed.
Right.
Card name, I don't put anything in card name. Card number I put in, and then sports trading card. So that entire first section of specifics I put in, and then where it says additional specifics, I don't really put anything in any of those.
Yeah.
Maybe year manufactured. Obviously, if it's autographed, I put the auto info in there. But I don't do card size. I don't do manufacturer region. I don't do material, vintage, tournament.
I do insert set sometimes.
Reprint, language. I don't really do that. California Prop 65 warning. Thickness is a weird one.
My favorite thing I ever saw in that California Prop 65 was someone put, "It's a card. I think you'll be okay."
That's funny. But yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. That first section needs to be completed as best as possible. Card name is more for your reference than it is for like the search results, but that entire second section, most of it just doesn't really do anything for me.
Well, the other thing too is eBay recommends to get maximum eyes on your product to have at least 8 of those filled in. So I kind of try to think of that count informally too. I don't sit there and count each one. But when I decided how many, what fields am I going to do, in the back of my head, I was thinking, okay, do I have about 8 of them here?
Yeah, and I think there's 12 total, so I would say pretty regularly I have 10 of them.
Okay.
Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8, 9, 10. Yep, I have 10
Yeah.
based on the ones that I read earlier that I regularly have in there. And then also I the graded one, but that's kind of automatic because it asks you if it's graded or not
Yeah.
when you're listing. But oh, and sport, I always choose the sport too, in the
Yeah.
where it has like the little drop downs. So I guess technically 11, and then of course skew, which doesn't count in searches, but
Yeah.
yeah. So I would say I have very few listings that would be under 8. I can't imagine there would be a situation where I'd be under 8. So I agree with you. Those fields are definitely something you want to complete, and they will get search results. You got to be careful because I've seen a lot of people do, like, let's say it's a Patrick Mahomes card, and then they're in the player field, they'll have Andy Reid and
Yeah.
Jason Kelsey,
Yeah.
Travis Kelsey, and Harrison Butker, and like they'll put in all these other random names so they hit those searches. But you'll get messages from even customers that are like, quit listing your crap as Tom Brady cards when they're not Tom Brady's, or whatever
Absolutely.
it is. And actually, that's against eBay policy. So they can report it, and eBay will say, nope, we're taking this down. You got to go remove all these names out of here that don't apply. Or if you put PSA 10, but then it's an ungraded card, stuff like that. So they do kind of, police that a tad.
Speaking of some of those goats, what do you think of Stu's new PC card?
Yeah, I need to get one of those myself. I think I've seen that card before.
Yeah, they're not too expensive either. You can get one pretty easy.
Yeah, I got to track one of those down for sure. Lionel, he's the man. That's a true goat. True goat.
Well,
Undisputed.
there are many goats. There are many goats, including this one.
Well, most goats are kind of disputed. I don't know. Well, I suppose there's definitely people who would dispute Messi, but they'd be wrong.
I don't know that they dispute Messi. I think it's when you say only pick one, Messi or Ronaldo, or
Well, that's easy.
Whoever, right?
I would say it's like Messi or Pelé, right?
Yeah.
But played in totally different times, had totally different impacts on the sport. To me, Pelé is like the Beatles, right? He created something and showed what level it could be brought to, like what was possible.
I think that's fair.
But it wasn't perfect, and it wasn't the best because he was the first one to really do it.
Yeah.
And then brand it and expand it and get attention to it, all those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And then Messi is, more like a fine-tuned, set of instruments, if you will, that took all of that experience, knowledge, information, and then added some perfection to it.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel about it anyway. You might not like Metallica, but you got to respect them for what they created. You might not like the Beatles, but you got to respect them for what Nirvana, all those things where they, Elvis, any of those, types of things where it's changed the way things are being done. Steph Curry, you might not think Steph Curry was the greatest ever, but he changed the game of basketball.
Yeah.
So you have to give the points where the points are earned.
Now, this card showed up today. I don't know if you saw in the Discord, but it was a relatively new seller. So we had some good conversations today. This was shipped in this mag case with the old Ding Defend sandwich like that, ESE in an envelope. And that does not work very well. So the postman was knocking on my door for money today, so that I could get my goat. So we had a good conversation about the do's and don'ts of ESE, and hopefully that helps them out on their selling journey.
Yeah, that's not an ESE. I don't know. I guess I never really understood the confusion about ESE because the rules are pretty clearly stated.
Yep.
The post office gets it wrong sometimes. Um,
Which is
well,
ironic.
but if you're following the eBay outline, you at least have an argument, right? Well, eBay tells me it's got to be this many inches and this much. That completely violates like 4 of the 5 things that eBay says is required to qualify for ESE.
Right.
So you're just, of course, the post office is going to charge you for that. I mean, it's not even close to what is supposed to be there. So you have to, just like anything, if you want to get into something, you got to research it, look at it a little bit, and decide, okay, well, what are my boundaries? How much can I push those boundaries? And if you want to totally blow up the boundaries like that seller did, you're just not going to have success on a regular basis.
And I had talked to the seller quite a bit over the past week because obviously, probably no surprise, there was a delay in delivery. And it took some weird routings. Now we know why, because it got kicked out of the sorter and got manually handled. And so I was talking to the seller, and that's how I found out they've only been doing this a couple weeks so far. So I went back to them and let them know, hey, I got the card. It's in great condition. I said, good news, bad news. I got the card, and it's in great condition. Bad news is postman wanted another $4 and change for me to get the card because it was shipped ESE and it was not ESE compatible. And then I simply said, if you're interested, I'd love to share my feedback on how this works. And he said, absolutely. Let me know your thoughts. So I went down that checklist, as you mentioned. Okay, it's got to be less than a 1/4 inch thick. You missed the mark on that one. It's more than a 1/4 inch.
Yeah.
It's got to be not too rigid. What's not too rigid? Well, you should be able to take a number 10 envelope and bend it in half. Okay. You can't do that with this because the card was basically right in the middle with these ding defenders, and it was like a brick. You couldn't move it.
Why would you put ding defenders around a May? That makes no sense.
Super concerned about protection. Yeah. Some people are as worried about the mag case as they are the card. They don't want any scratches on the case and stuff like that.
No, was that a sealed card?
No.
So why would you even put it in a mag?
Like I said, some people think that. So in the seller's opinion, this was a big card because I said I would only ship something the way you sent it if it was a bigger card. And he said, well, I thought that was a big card for me. So, it's just a matter of perspective. We went through items got to be less than $20 as a single item. He was okay there. He did weigh it to 2 ounces and pay the 97 cents. Of course, that came to 3 ounces, so he would have been short anyway. So we went through that whole checklist. Hopefully that'll pay off in their future sales. And I told him, I said, I ship thousands of cards a year. I would just put this in a top loader and a sleeve with a piece of painter's tape over the top, put it in the number 10, and it's gone. So he said that it's the first one he shipped in a mag like that, but it's because in his mind, it was a bigger card. But I mean, I paid $11 for it. To me, that's not a big card, right?
No.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. And you did the right thing, trying to help him so that he doesn't get burned out by the process.
Yeah.
Not following, because he's going to keep getting these charges and mad customers and all that kind of stuff.
That's what I told him. I said, because he said, what did he say? Oh, he uses those ding defenders with a top loader on most of his orders. And I said, you're not going to want to keep doing that. I said, chances are what's happening is your customers are getting asked for another 1/4 or 50 cents when they get there. And they're eventually going to get annoyed with that. And they're not going to come back to you.
Right.
Not
to mention those are expensive. If he's buying the actual, protectors, those aren't real cheap. So you're not going to make any money if you're doing it that way.
Right. And then to end the conversation, I invited him to our show on Wednesday nights.
Nice. And the Discord.
Yes.
Yeah, that's precisely why we do this show, right? Was to try to hone our skills and, work with the market ever changing and, eBay changing and products changing and so forth. And, try to help others as
Yep.
they're trying to do the same thing. So it's a great example of, we look at that like you put it in a bag and you put these ding defenders and what are you thinking? But as a new seller,
You don't know. Yeah.
he's thinking I cannot have this card crease because I don't want to lose my $11 and didn't think about, what else that would impact.
I didn't know. I shipped my first couple Ground Advantage cards in boxes. I didn't have bubble mailers. I had never used bubble mailers. I didn't know anything about it. Now I wouldn't run my business without a bubble mailer because I ship everything Ground Advantage in them,
Yeah. Yeah, and I kind of tried telling you that at first, but again, I think some of those things are just things you have to sort of go through.
You do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you're a little bit more on edge about stuff than I am, so you would probably lean. Well, it's not necessarily a bad thing or a good thing, but it's just my experience would probably be a little bit different than your experience. Until you have more time in it. By the way, the eBay coupon became effective yesterday, so I turned that sucker in right away and ordered some more bubble envelopes. So I'll be getting those. I think they show up tomorrow. It was crazy. I ordered them it was like mid-afternoon, so let's say 1:00, and within an hour I got a notice that it shipped. So I was like, wow, they're on fast. Yeah, they're on top of it there. And I think because it's the first of the month, they know all these coupons are going to be turned in.
Sure. Yeah.
So, yeah. But I got some bigger ones last time. I don't have any out here right now. Here, I got one. So these were a little bit more expensive, but still less than my coupon amount. But these are quite a bit bigger.
Okay.
These are. I can't remember the size. 8 by 10, I think 8 by 10s or something like that. Yeah. So I wanted some bigger ones for if I put in more multiple packs and stuff like that, especially since the other bubble mailers, they shrunk them a little bit.
Yeah.
So I tried these and I'm glad that I've got some that are a little bit bigger now too. They're like $10 more a box, but it's still under my $50. It was like $46 and some odd cents.
There you go.
Yeah, so I was happy that I got those last time. I just cracked into them now and started using a few because my sort of ready supply of bubble mailers was depleted entirely, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to open a box from my storage when I have a box coming tomorrow. Right. I'll just crack that and refill my stock. But I'm like, but I needed a few. You know what I mean? I needed like 2 or 3 of them. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to open the box of the bigger ones and kind of see how those look and work. And so I used a few of them, and they're only about 1/4 of an ounce heavier, so it doesn't really impact your shipping cost a whole lot unless you're kind of right on that edge before the next ounce.
You got a lot of room in the Ground Advantage mailings, though.
Yeah, and when you're sending it Ground Advantage, the size of the package is not really that important. Not anywhere near bubble
price.
Yeah, you're talking like feet. Almost is the difference. So I knew I'd be okay there. So I thought it was smart to maybe get a box of a few bigger ones. Sometimes you have an oversized card you got to ship, or I don't know, something. I have all these. All this Star Wars wide vision stuff, these bigger cards. So I thought it would be good to have some envelopes that just had a little bit more space in them. Wouldn't impact my shipping costs or anything, but just so I wasn't cramming stuff into a padded mailer. Padded mailers are very expensive, and you don't really get a big bulk discount on them if you order them from anywhere. So I still think it's the best value for your coupon. But we can talk about mailing in another episode. That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
the shipping side of things. But I kind of wanted to touch on listing, go back to it a little bit. We haven't really talked about it a lot, other than, well, I'm at this listing count or whatever, but we haven't really talked about like processes and software and stuff. And I just kind of wanted to see if you had, anything that you were doing a little different. And I want you to make your new light box so I can have your current one, because I don't really want to make one. So
I did. I was in Walmart the other day, and I was going to pick up another one just to have it ready when I start working on it. They didn't have the shorter box. So I was like, well, no, they had it, but they had a closed end on the two sides. The one I had the slats all the way around, so it was really easy to cut the openings. So I didn't grab it that day, but as the weather's getting nicer, I will be doing more things like that, and I will certainly give you my old one when I make the new one.
Sweet. Just let me know what you need for it, because obviously I want to pay you for supplies and whatever, your time. But I thought about it. I'm like, I'm going to make something, and I have all the tools, and I do plenty of construction things and stuff, but I just don't want to. I don't feel like it. So I'll wait. If you have one you want to pass on at some point, I'm pleased to take that off your hands.
And you have the handheld version right now anyway.
Yep.
It will be interesting. I'm going to take this one with me to Madison this weekend because I'll list some while I'm down there, and it's it's easily portable, and I want to check the structural integrity of it traveling, right? Like,
sure.
Am I going to have issues with the poster board coming off or anything like that, right? Like, the frame itself is really sturdy. I just want to make sure the light stays stuck on and the cover stays on it and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's good to test that for sure.
Yeah.
And that's something that we might want to bring one of to the National too.
Yeah.
So we can use it for photos right there. Especially in hotel lighting is terrible, and you don't even really have. Then you don't have to bring a bunch of ring lights and that kind of stuff. You just bring the box, and you should be pretty much ready to go.
Yeah.
That you need to look into that and get something like manufactured, because you might find a business spot for that kind of a tool.
Yeah, maybe. We thought we found one at the National last year, but to date, I still don't think they're producing.
No, and honestly, it was kind of like what you just made. So I don't know that you're going to gain much by switching to that one, other than it's, perfectly 3D printed specifically for it kind of thing.
Right.
That's where it'd be beneficial if one of us had a 3D printer. We could just kind of design our own, but I don't have one, and I don't really feel like getting one at this point. So maybe I'll change my mind. When I used to make all the props and stuff, I would get that from people all the time. I'm surprised you don't have a printer. I'm surprised you don't have a printer. And the technology it's a long ways away from like a daily use type of thing. There's so many failed prints, and it takes so long. It uses a ton of electricity. The plastic line is not very affordable. And now it's going to get worse, of course, because everything's coming from China. But it just didn't seem like it was worth all the efforts, But it's getting a lot better, especially with like resin printers, where you don't have to clean off the lines and do the acid wash and all that stuff. You take all that work out of it, and you literally just print it, pull it off, and it's pretty much ready to go. Sans maybe a little bit of sanding or something, but so it's getting there. Bigger prints. You can get big, huge machines now that print everything, and it's a crazy world we live in. I can't help but notice you've got a Brewers shirt on there. How are they doing so far?
They're on a 2-game winning streak, and they're just a game and a half behind the Cubs now.
How about that?
Yeah.
Cubs won again tonight. They scored double digits again. Cubs have been hot.
Yeah, and the Brewers, they've been scoring runs, but their pitching staff has been giving up big crooked numbers in innings.
Yeah, their ERA after the first 4 games was like 12 point something,
12.
I think. So
Yeah,
it's crazy.
it's pretty rough watching it, but they're bringing it around. You know, help is on the way. It's a long season.
I feel like pitching doesn't do as well in the cold.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, maybe just kind of getting into some better temperatures will help some of that as well.
Yeah.
Or they just suck, I mean, that's a possibility too. And you just got to ride out the season like I've had to do the last couple. But yeah, I mean, Saya Suzuki's been crushing it, and Tucker's been playing pretty good. Pete Crow Armstrong has been playing well, and so yeah, it's pretty exciting on the Cubs side of things. And they've been pitching okayish enough to get wins. They lost those first 2 games to the Dodgers, but the Dodgers are just a monster.
See, that's what I say about the Brewers too. Well, yeah, they lost their first 3 games to the Brewers and then 1 to the Royals. I mean, you got Aaron Judge, Bobby Witt Jr.
True, it's true. You're right, though. I mean, those powerhouse teams. Well, I mean, I don't know about Kansas City being a powerhouse club, but the Yankees definitely are.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's parallel to some degree. Yeah, the Cubs lost those 2 games to the Dodgers, and they've won every game since.
And they had to go to Japan to play them.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I thought it was kind of cool. I saw a viral video yesterday of, is it Justin Turner? Is that his name? I'm blanking on the first name.
He used to play
the guy with the big orange beard.
Yeah.
I think it's Justin Turner. Anyway, he plays for the Cubs now. So when they were in Japan, there were these 2 little Japanese kids that were there and had these big fake orange beards on. So he saw him in the crowd. He was in they were doing warm-ups or batting practice or whatever that was, and he kind of caught him out of his eye. Stadium wasn't full yet, and he went over there and he's like brought the kids down on the field, took pictures with them and stuff. And I'm like, I love that kind of stuff. I think that's cool. Just have some fun with it. And the kids were like, "Oh my God, we're on the field!" And they were, "Where's Ohtani? You're great, but where's Ohtani?" But in a stadium like that, you expect to see the Japanese fans, looking for the Japanese players, right? So I think he was like, "This is pretty cool that these little Japanese kids put the big orange beards on, and we're excited to see me here as well." And a lot of fun. All right, we should probably get to some chat. Hey, we're 50 in.
All right.
Let's see. Art Green is here. Good evening, all. Guess everyone's a little shy tonight. Yeah, there wasn't any chat right off the bat. We actually got started a little bit later than we normally do. We're always late. I mean, that's part of the MO of the Goat Live, but I think that probably set us back a little bit. What is up, everyone? Story was delayed. Been watching these storms heading my way. That's okay, Dan. We weren't on time either, as usual, so we just went over that. Oops, what did I do? There we go. What's up? Oh, we haven't had one of these in a while. What's up? True. What are you doing? Just chilling. Yo. Curious how you handle multiple copies of cards when you get them at separate times. Do you find your first listing and add quantity and then find the bag in your drawer and combine them? Sometimes I do. Usually I don't. I'll just list another copy. If I have, 5 copies of this card in my hand right now, sure, I'm going to list all 5 as one listing, because why wouldn't you? Unless there's condition differences or something to that effect. But I have 60,000 listings. Do I know if I have another one of these listed? No. And I'm not going to look up every single card. If I know for a fact I have more of them, I'll do that here and there and add to them. But generally what will happen is I'll have 5 of these listed. 6 months later, I get another one of these. I list it and it sells. and then you get the listing right back anyway.
Yeah.
If you're on the premium store and you've got 60,000 listings, you've got quite a bit to work with there. If you're doing like the free listings and you only get, 250 listings in a month, yeah, you're probably going to want to combine as many as you can. And it shouldn't be that hard to know that you have that card already or be able to search for that listing and just be able to add it to an existing bag. But no, I don't do that with most cards.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. Some I do, some I don't. There are certain cards that you come across a lot and certain sets you come across a lot. And once you get your inventory to a certain level, you kind of have this feeling you're like, I know I have more of those listed.
Sure.
And then I may grab a handful of cards that let's say it's Shaq cards, Shaquille O'Neal cards. I know I have a ton of Shaq listed. I may grab a handful of new ones and say, I'm pretty sure I got all these. I'm going to search my listings and just update the quantities. But I would say over the course of a day, the vast majority of things, I just list a new listing.
Yeah, it's honestly, time is the precious item in what we do because it's labor intensive. So anything I can do to cut that time, I'm going to do if it's not really going to benefit me much.
Yep.
So, and sometimes it doesn't, like if my bag is still full and I have like another 5 copies of these, sometimes it doesn't, I might not even have space in the bag to add anything to it if it was, relatively new made bag.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't sweat it. I have a couple, 100 cards I sell a day. So, even if I have this listed, sometimes I'll have a buyer where I'll have this listed in 3 different listings and the buyer will buy all 3 of them anyway.
Yeah.
And then I get all 3 listings back. I didn't even have to put them in one listing. So that actually happens a lot more than you'd think.
That's actually why I try to sync up my quantity discounts with my coupon discounts. So I have the same percentage if you buy 3 of the same card off of one listing or 3 from my entire website or entire store.
No, there you go.
Yeah.
Has anyone seen about the eBay collaboration with Facebook Marketplace? Very vague. What is being promoted on it? So just curious if anyone knows a good reason to join Facebook. Yeah, this is kind of an old story. It's actually been out for quite a while.
Yeah.
They paired up. Gosh, I think that was this past summer, wasn't it? Like
it was at least.
I believe it was like. Yeah, I believe it was like right after the National or so. That was something that came out. Facebook got into big trouble in Europe and had to pay a giant fine because of some of their marketplace procedures or something. So this was kind of their way to be like, oh, well, we can work with eBay. And then, so anyway, that was sort of the motivation behind it more so than like helping eBay sellers, find another marketplace. But I don't know that it's had any impact on me. I've had 2 local buys probably within the last year or so. And neither of them said it was because they found me on Facebook Marketplace. So I don't know that it's had a lot of play in what we do. But yeah, cross promoting, anywhere you can get your information out there is definitely a benefit when you're trying to sell something. Now, should you join Facebook because of it? I don't know that that's enough reason to join Facebook.
No, you should join Facebook to talk to your mom.
Right. Yeah, the elderly social network.
The hip kids don't use Facebook anymore. It's for us older crowd now.
It's kind of funny because Facebook's like new memberships or whatever has been declining drastically. Yeah. And a lot of people have left the platform for a number of different reasons. Too many ads, politics, algorithms are bad. They don't like, what's his name? The Yahoo that runs it. Whatever the case may be.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg, there you go. A lot of people have left, and it's like, I don't know, because you're right. That's exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, well, the kids don't use it, so there's no way this is going to go back up over time as soon as all the baby boomers are gone and some of our generation starts leaving the planet. I don't know that Facebook's really going to be a place to be.
Yeah.
So here's my take on Facebook, because I've talked about getting, because I don't really use it anymore. I actually didn't join Facebook until 2012. So I was a super late joiner. And the reason I joined was because that's where everybody was. And I was running for a position in an organization that was an elected position. And I wanted a platform to reach people to get votes, to tell people to vote for me. Facebook was the place to be. But since then, I've built a business page on there that I regularly post to. We have our card show information on there. It's still the best place for posting events. I use it for Messenger. I don't have anybody's phone number. It's always, hey, friend me, and then I'll just message you. So I feel like now I can't walk away because there's not Facebook itself, but the other things Facebook provides me is still important.
It's not dead by any means as a platform.
No, I didn't say that.
No, I'm just saying, this is my point of view, that there's still a lot of life in it, even though some things are declining.
Correct.
I think its use has
my
changed.
point.
Yeah.
Yes. There's a lot of keyboard warriors that just sit on there all day and like reply to people, and I don't know. It used to be this like, how many friends can you get? And now people are trimming all their friend lists, and it's just social media. And to be fair to Facebook didn't know what it was doing either. It was a brand new thing. Yeah. And they've been trying to change with how people are using it, and the social experiment, has changed quite a bit. But I agree, it seems to be more of like an old person place now. Meaning you and me, we're old, by the way.
Right.
So, my kid doesn't use it at all. She's too young to like have any of the actual, full access to any of this stuff. But and she has Messenger Kids. The Messenger Kids program works pretty well. But now she has like some limited Snapchat and kids YouTube stuff. They can make videos on and stuff. And she's like, I don't really use Facebook at all. I have no reason to be there at all.
Yeah.
Do your kids use it at all?
Facebook itself, no. They used to use Facebook Messenger, and I don't think they even use that anymore. Now it is just direct chats. They have their own phones now.
Yeah.
And then they use Discord when they're gaming all the time.
Yeah, Discord is amazing. By the way, join our Discord, code down below.
That's right. And then I think there's one other app they use to talk with each other a lot too.
It might be WhatsApp. Is it WhatsApp?
It might be, yeah.
Yeah. WhatsApp, I used to use that again when I was in a international organization. It was really nice because it's a better app in some other countries. Where because some countries are limited. You're not allowed to just download everything. They restrict stuff. Right. WhatsApp was pretty open. But I found it would get into these like conversations with so much crap in it that didn't really have anything to do with what we were trying to do. I was like, it'll be interesting to see where, long term where where Facebook fits in. I think the meta is probably more important than the like posts and stuff like that.
Yeah, fair.
But they got to be careful with putting so much ads in and, taking away from people's personal experiences on there, because that's hanging on by a thread for some people. There's a lot of other networks and platforms you can go on now. Facebook didn't have that much competition for quite a while, and there's a lot more now. So, yeah. Bargain Boxer had a tornado touchdown 20 minutes from him. Wow. Okay. Well, I'm glad you're okay. Yeah. So he's in Illinois, which, if you don't know your geography, that's connected to Wisconsin. It's just south of Wisconsin. So we were talking earlier about weather and the unpredictability of Wisconsin. Illinois is right in that same platform And yeah, we can get tornadoes this time of year. The other night we had this really weird thunderstorm where everything was orange. It kept lighting up orange, the whole sky. Uh, you know, and then we get rain, and then we get the hail, and then we get the sleet, and yeah, you can see all of it within one day. And tornadoes can be a thing too. This is funny. Joe says, give Elvis his due, but don't buy his cards. I tried telling you guys, don't buy Elvis cards. They don't sell. But, maybe you can find that one niche. Maybe you find those buyers that are looking for Elvis cards, but they never really worked for me. Guardians apparently can't beat the Padres, which to me is a playoff match. Yeah, Guardians should be pretty good this year, but they haven't looked that great. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. It's early yet. All these teams, it's early. Dodgers clearly are going to smash, and everybody else has to show up to try to get through them.
Yeah.
Yankees, even though they were, had to let some big names go, they brought in some other big names that are doing pretty well. I think they lost Garrett Cole for the season now, right? He's got Tommy John.
I think so. Yeah.
He's on Tommy John. That's probably going to hurt them in the long run, unless they can find some replacement for that pitching side. But hey, if they score 15 runs a night, it's probably really not going to make. You could probably put a little league pitcher up there and win some of those games. So
Right.
Anyway, Max, free for the next 364 days. Taxes submitted.
Yeah.
Attaboy. Yeah, I don't have mine done yet. Like I said, I was working on my parents today. I've almost got theirs done. I've got a couple forms that are missing. They're not the best at putting it all together for me.
Yeah.
So I'm chasing a few things, and then once I get theirs done, I'll get back to mine and get it finished up. But honestly, the taxes, I think you're right, Charlie. It's really not as complicated as it sounds. It's like, well, I bought this much, I sold this much, and eBay took this much. Done. I've got a few other sources of income. That's what kind of complicates mine a little bit. I got like 14 1099s or something this year. It's crazy.
14.
Well, yeah, because I get one from Amazon, I get one from Shopify, I get one from PayPal.
Oh yeah.
I get both eBays because I have two eBay stores. I got YouTube and any bank accounts, whatever interest stuff I get that. So yeah, it's like by the time they just keep coming in at the end of January. It's like, damn. And then the K1s from the Goat Show. We got to add that in this year. So small, we only had one show last year, but we still gotta pay taxes on it. So, yeah, that's the thing for me. It's like, just, I got to sit down and enter each one of those and these little, some of them small amounts, some of them not. And then YouTube, I have expenses I write off against that. And so I've got that separate from the actual card stuff. And then the marketing stuff I sell, that's a whole other thing. So yeah, it's good to have multiple streams of income, but it sucks when you do taxes.
I'd like to find a better bookkeeping system this year. Just, at pulling out that big binder of receipts and stuff and going through all that. I was actually thinking about it today, and maybe I need to use something like our SKU system to keep track of all these receipts and, label them and put them away in a team bag or something, and then I can match them to the spreadsheet real quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I have a spreadsheet that I use that I got from an eBay seller a long time ago that is really good.
Yeah.
It's got some ins and outs and like it. Oops.
What's going on over there?
Hold on. I just lost my video. Hold on.
Technical difficulties. Please stand by.
I have a foldable phone, and if you fold it too far, it changes to the other camera.
Yeah.
And then no, so I use that, and I try to stay as diligent as I can to just enter stuff right away when I spend. But honestly, I've been doing my own version of self-employed taxes to some degree for over 20 years, and I still
Yep,
think the throw a receipt in a box method is a good way to go. Um, and then
that's what I do now.
I kind of staple them together. Like, these are my expense ones, these are my cost of goods ones, and because you got to save all those anyway, you know,
Yeah,
in case. I don't think really any of us would get a paper audit. It doesn't seem like it would make a lot of sense based on what we make, but in case that happens, that's where you would have to come up with that information. So, um, but yeah, I guess I look at it like, if we're way behind here. Wowzers. I guess I look at it like it's 2 weeks of pain in the butt a year, and then I
uh-huh.
don't really do that much with it the rest of the year. So it's really not that bad. Like I said,
Fair.
I've been doing it forever. I use a program where all my information is copied over from the previous year. So all I got to do is kind of enter in the new numbers, or if a 1099 went away, I got to delete that one, or if I got a new one, I got to add one.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. So I don't know. John wants to know how many total cards you fit into an ESE. Loaded question. So
As many as you can.
as many as you can. The biggest ESE I send out is a 6x9 where I tape 3 card savers together. And generally it's 6 cards per card saver would be the max. But if I've got like a bunch of Panini stickers I'm sending, or the Halloween, pack cards where they're real thin, stuff like that, you can squeeze a few more in. But yeah, and then as soon as you get thicker cards, you can't do as many. So the
Yeah.
card sort of lays that out too. But generally, I'd say it's like 15 to 17 cards, 18 cards that I would do in a 6x9. That's about the max that I really hit.
Yeah, I would agree. I think on average, your average, what is it, 20-point card or whatever it is, or 30, 35-point card, whatever it is. I don't pay attention to card thickness points to know
Yeah.
them well enough. But I think 18 is typically where you're going to max out between thickness and 3 ounces. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep, use card savers. If you're going to try to top load each card or something, I mean, you can't do a whole lot. So card savers make that possible.
Yeah.
Max is here. He says, I've rarely ever used social media for its original intent. Really only for business and networking. For cards, I think posting pictures of stuff you do, etc., is narcissistic as hell. I agree. Sometimes I just have something funny I want to share, and sometimes the world needs levity. There's a lot of seriousness, and sometimes that can be fun to do that, just to take that edge off a little bit. But I'm kind of with you. I used to use it more for social, when I was doing more going out with friends and that kind of thing, but I don't do much of that anymore. So I kind of go away from that, and I just use, like you said, basically use it for business, and then use it for Messenger, because I have a ton of people I don't have phone numbers for, which I could get the phone numbers, add them to contacts, use chat instead. I could get away from that part of it pretty easily, but yeah.
I tend to agree too, but I mean, come on, stuff like this is gold. This is gold.
Yeah, that's what I like, like it for once in a while. I'll change my profile photo to something goofy, and every Christmas my wife has this little Santa display that has, Santa, and it's got all the different Santas kind of hanging off of it.
Yeah.
I rearrange the letters to spell something a little more evil, and that's my banner, or my background photo each Christmas season. The day after Halloween, my profile picture becomes oh crap, I can't even think of her name right now. The Christmas song singer. What the heck's her name?
Oh, Mariah Carey.
Mariah Carey. I changed it to Mariah Carey. I have kind of this fun dispute with a friend of mine who's a big Halloween fan, and and I'm like, well, Halloween is just the eve of Mariah Carey Day, and so yeah, so I think it can be used for a little bit of fun socialization, but yeah, it's like a posting all your meals and oh, it looked cute today. Here's my outfit. Like I don't really do that.
Yeah.
It's either got to be some kind of message or just something goofy fun to add some levity once in a while.
I did get hooked on that for a while. Like I remember years ago when I would try a different beer every weekend and post it and stuff like that. But it's been probably 4 or 5 years now since I really posted much on Facebook other than stuff like this. Like Otter News and Otter News, you can't beat stuff like this. Plus, we have a great otter story going on in our local area.
We do. We have the escape of the otters. Yeah.
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 What is it?
Yeah,
Ophelia and Louie or something like that?
Yeah, Louie. One of them they caught.
Yes.
They got one of them back. I think it was Louie.
I thought it was Ophelia. Yeah.
Oh, so whatever.
Because they said the male range is further. Yeah.
Oh, that could be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you just proved your point. So your old booking is what you're doing. You're using it for old dad jokes and stuff like that.
I'm like that insurance commercial.
Right. Yeah. I love those commercials.
Don't become your parents.
Normally I'm not into because I don't know, for whatever reason, insurance, they always feel like it has to be comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are pretty good too. Yeah. So I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
My favorite one was the one with LL Cool J.
Uh-huh.
And they're in line at the coffee shop, and he's like, I'm just gonna ask him for a photo, and he's like, let's take a selfie. 3, 2, 1. You don't have to count down when you take a selfie. That's just so. Yeah, he says, don't do it. Well, yeah, that's good. My kids use Instagram or Discord. I only use Discord. Just don't have time for others. Yeah, I agree. What's interesting about Discord is that's kind of what we had before social media, because we're old, Charlie, so we remember these days. But do you remember Yahoo forums and Angel Fire? And that's basically what it was. You went to Yahoo forums and you were into kite flying. So you were in this kite flying group or whatever, and you guys would share about kites and that was it. Nobody talked politics. It wasn't, this pictures of your food. There wasn't any of that. And then, it got out of hand from there in my mind. Yeah, I agree with Discord. I feel like our Discord's pretty active. There's good stuff on there. We keep it on topic. We don't have a bunch of crap in there. It's pretty rare I've had to kick out a bot or block somebody or, people are posting stuff that doesn't have anything relevant to what we're doing. We're all encouraging of each other. And I think that's what people really want out of a social network is I want to be able to help others, and then I want to be able to get help from others. Otherwise, I'm not really interested. Doesn't have much value outside of that.
Yeah. I feel bad that this week I haven't been out there that much. I've been so darn busy at work getting ready to be out of town for a while, but I really try to spend some time out there every day and chat with folks. But lately it's been tougher.
Yeah, and mine kind of goes in spurts. I just don't spend a lot of my day on anything, chatting anyone. I mean, we're talking about this right now. I don't spend any of my day on Facebook or Chapsnat or Twatter or, I don't really do any of that. And then I kind of forget about the Discord a little bit unless something pops up that I'm like, ooh, I want to weigh in on this or I want to learn more on this. And then I'll kind of go through all the different channels and try to put something in there. But but that's the beauty of it. You don't have to respond all the time. There's other when we first started, I think we had to be a little bit more because we didn't have as many members in there, and it was all new people. And now it's like we have some pretty veteran sellers in there that can help
Yeah.
new sellers, and everybody's great. You guys are all participating in there, and it doesn't have to be me and Charlie's voice in there on a regular basis. Like I said, you guys are forced to listen to us and see us every Wednesday. You don't need that all day, every other day. You guys can all take care of business. So, great. It's a great place. If you're not in the Discord, join. Links down below. That is a weird link. Why is it just a bunch of numbers?
It was kind of weird, wasn't it?
It looks weird.
Let me do it
anyway,
again.
Charlie will throw a link in there for us, but yeah, join the Discord. It's free. Great information. We're always welcoming of new people that want to participate in card selling and getting some knowledge on how to be successful at that. Get some knowledge, share some knowledge. Let's take a penny, leave a penny, right?
There, that looks better.
Jenny says Facebook is great for buying and selling lots. Cash is king. That is the other good thing about Facebook I didn't mention. So you're correct. Marketplace is a pretty good place to find things, and not even just cards. We just went to a winery after work tonight and picked up a shelf that my wife is going to use in her gardening shed.
Okay.
So yeah, that's another reason that I still have Facebook is I'll go on there. I was way into BMX biking when I was a kid, so there's a specific Haro Master Pro Master that I want to get, and I constantly look at Marketplace to see if one of those pops up. Not that I would do any BMX bike riding at my age, but I just want the bike. I want to hang it up. It's going to be part of my decoration, maybe in my arcade. It would fit right in with the 80s, early 90s stuff. And great place to buy it. I'm not going to buy it on eBay and try to ship it here or do any of that. So, yeah. Johnny already got his refund. Love playing the game.
Nice.
1099 stuff is simple. Non-1099 stuff is ridiculously dumb. Well, it is and it isn't, because there's stuff that gets reported on a 1099 that's not really income, in my opinion, because they're forced to just put every number on there, and then you have to go back and rewind all that.
Yeah.
So I'm not a fan of 1099s for some of them. Let's see. I use an ETB from Pokemon for all my receipts, then Excel, do it after every show. That's kind of how I do it too. I'm probably not quite as diligent as you on it, but yeah, I have my little, of course use a card box, because why wouldn't we use a card box to put our receipts in? But I have a card box too, and I put them all in there. I kind of organize them all when I'm getting ready to put everything down. I highlight things because sometimes my receipt has items on it that's not, deductible or part of a expense, So anyway, that's kind of how I do it too. And then, yeah, just add them on as you go. And
I have this big flowery box from my wife that it's the only thing I would ever use it for, but it fits nice on the shelf, and it's got a little magnetic clasping lid, so it works perfect where I can with one hand just slide it up, drop the receipt, and move on.
Yeah, and my card box is one of those where the top actually goes into the side, you know what I mean? Closes in the side.
Yeah.
So same thing. I can do with one hand. I can flip it open and then it closes nice, so I don't have to worry about it falling all over the place and stuff. But yeah, it's a pain, but taxes are something that's required apparently, even though it's voluntary in the tax code. I'm pretty sure you have to do it or you're gonna find yourself in some kind of problem. So do what you gotta do. I do all my accounting for the year in one day though. I pretty much do the same. My spreadsheet is just kind of running totals for stuff. I'll glance at it once or twice in the year, just kind of see where I'm at, but Yeah, as far as like actually putting it all together and doing the taxes, it's within a couple of days that I get it all done. It gets really crazy when you add in rental properties and weekly buying and selling of crypto. I don't have that. I do some crypto transactions. Most of it's buying, which of course you don't have to report because you don't get income on it. Yeah, but I don't own any rental properties, so I don't have to deal with that. Early on, when I was in college, because I think all of us in our generation realized you have to have a second income or you're not going to be able to survive long term, which is
Yeah.
it's unfortunate, but it's also reality. And a lot of my friends got into like, oh, I'll buy a duplex and I'll rent half of it and live in this half and blah, blah, blah. And then I'll keep that property and then I'll buy this house and then I'll have the income from it. And man, did that look like a pain in the butt. I
Yeah.
did not want to deal with that. Renters who didn't want to pay and you'd have to fix stuff. And, yeah, you're right. Taxes are a pain in the butt. And I was like, just wasn't for me. So I've avoided that. Even though I've worked in mortgages for a good chunk of my life, I've worked in title, you know, all things tied to property, real estate. I still didn't want to do that. I want my social media to be as unsocial as possible. Yep, that's pretty much the point I'm at too, Max. I'll do my socializing when I see you at the show.
There you go.
Oh my God, great April Fools. I've never seen that one before. April Fools is kind of a fun day to flip through Facebook. I would agree with that. There's some pretty good ones out there once in a while, but yeah. I don't do the meme stuff. Sorry, Char. I don't think those were memes. Those were more like just jokes, animated jokes. But yeah, I
Or
don't
maybe he
really
was
do.
talking about Mimi on the Drew Carey show. I don't know.
Oh my God, she was great with all the makeup and everything.
I
You're
have
right.
an aunt that can pull that off. You would not know the difference.
Really.
Yeah, she's done it for Halloween a couple times.
Yeah, it's she was great. I think if you did it now, no one would know who the hell she is. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome. All right, we got one more in here, and then we can get to another topic. When you do, shoot, I got to go up here now. When you do free shipping, does eBay deduct the shipping charge for your total income on the tax form, or do you need to deduct it? Well, they don't deduct anything on your 1099. They just put everything that you sold. You got to go take off all your eBay fees and expenses and shipping and all that stuff. They'll tell you all those numbers. So this is what I do. I go and I print the final page of my monthly from each month where it tells me how like gross sales, my refunds amounts, my eBay fees, my shipping, blah blah blah. It breaks all that down for you. I do that for each month, and I just do that because I want each month because I'll compare my December last year, for example, to my December this year. Sometimes I just look at that just to see where my sales path is at. So I do it more as a personal thing. But I found it makes doing my taxes easier because I just take those numbers. I add them up for the 12 months, and then that's pretty much where I get all my numbers from. Obviously, whatever's on the 1099 is the amount you have to report. And then you have to go and slap everything else off of it. That's why I said 1099 suck, because it's not even close to an
Not
actual
true
picture of.
earnings. Yeah.
Right, correct. So yeah. Yeah, Max says the same thing. Your responsibility to take expenses.
Oh, we lost Adam. More technical difficulties for the night. So just to continue that thought, yeah, that 1099 is your starting point. That's your gross sales. And then you got to take all those expenses away, your eBay fees, your subscription fees, your cost of goods sold, your shipping fees. But eBay does do a good job of putting all that together for you. So it's not like you're having to tally one line at a time all year. they do a good job of giving you the tools that sorts all that out and gives you a tally for the year if you need it. So that if you might spend 30 minutes putting it all together for you, but it's not an insurmountable task.
No, and the more reason it takes me 2 days is because I use one day to put everything together, and then I want a clear head to review it the next day to make sure I didn't forget anything, I didn't miss anything. Because what I'll tell you is I've had years and years where I've done this and I've gone, oh crap, I forgot about my monthly eBay store fee. I will make sure I deduct that. Oh crap, I forgot I bought these cables for YouTube. You know, there's sometimes something in there where just because I'm in the process of thinking about it and doing it, later on it might trigger, oh, I forgot to do this, or I should have done that, or because once you file, and amending taxes sucks. I had to amend my parents' taxes last year, and I don't want to do that on a regular basis. So I use my first day to really put everything together, my second day to kind of review it and maybe catch something or think of something I didn't think of, and then I file and it's done.
So you just reminded me of one piece I always pause on. What category do you put your eBay store fees and your Car Dealer Pro fees?
That would just probably be office expenses.
Okay. I thought about this, and I ended up putting them in advertising because those are the tools that get it out there for people. And then Car Dealer Pro, I use the banner, and that's advertising. So I don't think it really matters what bucket it goes into, but they give you so many choices. I was like,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, as long as because you get the same benefit from either category that it's in, it's not going to change your taxes.
Right.
And ultimately, if they asked you, well, what's your advertising? You could be like, well, I pay this monthly to eBay. Here's that number. I pay this.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Makes it really easy for me to sort it out, too, because there's only two parts of the expenses I put in that category: CDP and eBay store fees. You know,
right.
So.
My biggest tip, since I've been doing this a long time, would be to have consistency.
Yeah.
So if you put that in there this year, you should put that in there next year.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden, if these categories start changing and all these numbers are way different every year, they're going to be like, what the hell? If someone actually looks at it, okay, that's a what if. But if your things kind of look like they make sense year after year after year, that should also make it easier for you.
Yeah.
Fees go under Part V, other expenses, I believe, the itemized box on page 2 of Schedule C. Yeah, but you can still put them in other categories too.
Yeah.
So Charlie's right. It kind of depends on, where you feel like it's most appropriate. Because other expenses is also a very broad category.
Yes.
And you would have to try to kind of remember what you put in there, what you didn't put in there. So I don't know. Yeah, that's enough. I don't want to talk about taxes anymore. I hate taxes.
Yeah.
It's anyway. I have opinions on like just the tax code in general, and it's not. I'm not a fan of how it currently operates at all, which I think most of us are. I'm not against.
Who is?
I'm not against paying taxes because that's what people think about you right away. They're like, "Oh, you don't want to pay your taxes." Well, it's not that. I understand that that's going to be part of it. The system is not good at all.
Yeah.
And it should have been revamped a long time ago. And we're one of the only first world countries, if you want to call us that does it this way, and it's very archaic.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. I think we're caught up, eh?
Yeah.
Oh,
just
one more.
One more in there.
Let's see. Just remember, if you claim a loss for 3 or more years in a row, the IRS will tell you are no longer a business, you are now a hobby. That is true in theory. Let's just say they don't always catch that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be 3 years. It can be a year and they can be like, nope, you're not a business. So it depends on if someone's going to look at it or not. They can kind of, I guess they have a say in that. So. But if you are in this to be a business, why would you have a loss every year? Like,
Yeah.
that's a pretty bad business. So if you're reporting profits, that means you made money. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. Johnny got caught. Yeah, I know. I know. I've heard about you. Brandon says, I will agree. Definitely in theory. Yeah. Take everything with a grain of, possibility, I guess. But, all right. What are we doing now? What was our other topic? Do we have any other topics? I know you threw one out yesterday or 2 days ago, and I don't even remember what it was now.
Yeah, we really didn't talk about topics the way we normally do this week.
I thought you had something you wanted to go over.
I just said that it's probably, at the end of a quarter, it's probably a good time to check in on our goals.
Oh, right.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that at the start of the show a little bit. I kind of got on a tangent with it when we were talking about listing.
Yeah, my goals really aren't any different. I'm kind of still at like a slow growth mode, and I'm trying to cut how much I'm spending on inventory. So I guess I'm trying to buy more bulk. You and I talked about this the other day when I was over at your house. I said I want to just try to make a few big buys a year instead of 50 cards here and there on a regular basis, where you're paying up a little bit because you get less quantity.
Yeah.
So I guess my take on it is, because everybody talks about, well, I don't want to pay promotions fees and blah blah blah. My take on it is, I'm okay with paying that if it gets me the sales and I'm making the profit. That's par for the course. That's what it costs you to do business. But I can cut down how much I'm spending on my inventory, what my inventory is costing me. So that's kind of where my focus is going to be going forward. And then, of course, just continuing to grow the listings on the non-sports store and maintaining the sports store. All our auctions reloaded yesterday because it was the first of the month. So I have a ton of stuff that I don't really want to sit in the store. I think I can move it pretty quick on an auction. I don't care if I get anything for it. I paid like 5 cents a piece for these cards, but like, here's a Topps Museum. Is this museum? I think so. Sticker card. Joe Flacco. It's the blue version, I believe. It's numbered out of 50, right?
Okay.
Great card to auction. Not a lot of copies, but not a huge name. Should be able to get a couple bucks for it on auction and just sell that thing right away. Because Joe Flacco stuff is not a hot mover in my store. So constantly just trying to find ways to move some stuff a little faster. I've really contemplated just taking a couple stacks of stuff and just more regularly doing whatnot shows, because I have more time now since I'm not listing, pounding all those listings.
Yeah.
What's a way I can move some of this stuff a little bit faster, and then I can go make another big buy. And then keep finding sources where I can sell my bulk commons.
Okay.
Those are my two kind of sales goals changes, going into the next quarter here.
Yeah, I didn't change any of my goals really. Although I would say one of my goals was to define a YouTube strategy, and another to get to as close to no touch listing as I can, really speeding that up. I do feel that the no touch listing I've kind of backed off of a little bit. I kind of started going down that path, and I started seeing some gains, but then I saw some things that made me rethink that a little bit and say, I don't know if that's the right goal. The YouTube strategy, I've kind of gotten a little clarity around that. Only in the aspect of, as I watch more and more content from others, I know what I don't want to compete with, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, if Market Movers and Jeff Wilson is doing that kind of stuff, I don't want to compete because I can't compete with their production value. Pickup videos, you know, like between you and I, you've got a lot more pickup videos. I don't really want to do a ton of them. I might do one every once in a while if someone asks me,
Yeah.
but it's not my thing, right? So I guess more importantly than deciding here's what I'm going to do in YouTube, I've been whittling away what I'm not going to do, which helps me get to where I want to be. Now, at the same time, I did hit some benchmarks with YouTube recently. What am I at here? I reached 10,000 views and 150 subscribers, so it's coming along. And keeping those subscribers will be, you know, the goal and continue to grow. So I think that's good. I'm really happy with the store followers growing. I set a goal to be at 275 at the end of this year. I think I'm going to crush that. I'm already at 215, came up 40 already from the start of the year. I think that is a result of continued good service. Thank you, Johnny M, for the kind words about my packaging. I appreciate that greatly and spreading the word on that. And also, the marketing that I'm doing with the business cards, I think is helping with my store followers. I set a goal for listings to hit 25K this year. I am on a pace to get there. I'm up over 15,000 now after the first quarter. Items sold, I'm a little behind pace on that. I set a goal to sell 5,000 items this year. I'm at about 1238 right now. So, you know, little pace is a little short, but I also know we're going to enter a busier time of the year yet. So I'm not necessarily panicking about that. Repeat buyers, I'm trying to get up to double digits with repeat buyers, get to about 12%. Still struggling to move that needle a lot. I'm around 6-7% typically every month. So I think that'll go along with the store followers eventually, where that'll grow in tandem. Selling costs, trying to get that down. I'm still March was a good month for me. I saw a significant decrease in selling costs, but still well above where I want to be. So I got another 6 to 8% I need to work on dropping this year. And gross sales, I'm a little shy on the goal I set there too. But again, first quarter's not as heavy as some of the other quarters. So I'm only slightly behind. I'm about 1,000 off a pace for the first quarter. So that's not too bad.
No, that's not bad at all.
Yeah.
As far as I don't really have any listing goals at this point. You know, I have so much going on. I just consistently list. So I don't really put too much focus on it.
Yeah.
I focused more on, like you said, trying to reduce, costs, as well as try to bring down my cost of goods price.
Yeah.
Those are kind of my two areas where I'm looking at more saving money. And then maybe trying to sell some stuff a little faster.
Right.
Yeah. Easier said than done, for sure.
Yeah, that is true.
So, yeah, I think it's funny you bring up YouTube because I was going to talk about that a little bit. I haven't done much on YouTube in a while. The sales day videos were just kind of getting stale, and I don't know. It's just YouTube takes more time than sometimes it's worth, and I feel like my content's gotten kind of boring and draggy, and I don't really have anything like new and big that I want to put out. So when I started the channel, it was a lot of, hey, you can sell low-end cards. This is how you do it, and this is how you ship ESE, and it was a lot of, beginners type stuff. And I'm like, well, I can't keep making a how to put a card in an envelope video. It doesn't, hold weight after a while. Things haven't changed or adjusted that much, since I started doing it. I always have the live content, of course, every week. We're going to have a live show. I think going forward from the GOAT show, that was a lot of fun. I look forward to keep doing that. Lives are great because you just do it, it posts, and it's done. You don't have to edit it. You don't have to upload it. You don't have to download it from your other cameras. Like, it's great. I don't have super high quality content. I don't pay a videographer. I don't pay somebody to do the editing. I don't really want to do that. I don't think it would be worth my expense for what I do on this channel.
Okay.
At least not at this point in time. I don't know. We'll see. But I plan to just kind of, again, not put much pressure on myself. Well, it's been 3 days since I made a video. I better make a video today.
Right.
I'm going to put it more on, hey, the draft is coming. I bet I could get some cool video from there, make a couple videos out of that. Or,
yeah,
hey, I got this really cool buy. I'll do a, pickups video on this. Or, hey, I'm doing this kind of shipping now. Or, I'll make a video on that. So it's I feel like it can be a little bit more sporadic and, just have content that actually matters on there as opposed to just, hey, I did 10 videos this month. Well, great.
Right. I agree. And that's why, so I do want to keep doing the liquidity videos. I think they're different from like the Jeff Wilson stuff because they're focused on the prices of cards. I focus on the volume of low-end cards and who to buy. So we know who's selling and when the market changes against our intuition, right? So I will continue to do that, but to your point, not feel the pressure to be like, I got to get one out every week or every 2 weeks,
Yeah, and it's a lot of work and not a lot of income.
Yeah.
It doesn't, unless you're getting like, I guess if I got it to the point where I was getting 50,000 views no matter what I put on there, that'd be different because you'd be generating enough income. It would be worth your time no matter what video you were making. But
yeah,
I don't have that. And I don't know that I see that, as that much of a strong possibility in the future. So I want to just kind of, excuse me, that late bug is kicking in. And I want to just kind of keep, the channel on reserve for, videos where I feel like there's something going on where, and I have value of something to share.
Yeah, and that's the other area that I want to expand on is some of that evergreen content with useful information, like the customer service video I released, a couple weeks ago. I enjoyed sharing that kind of stuff, sharing experiences. Like I talked about, just having a discussion with a new seller earlier today. I enjoy that, and I enjoy sharing that kind of experience and share what I've learned from you and others to help others grow as well. And I think that's content that I think we all do enough things differently that it is valuable content, and you can see different perspectives, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to watch one video of someone and do everything they do. Right.
You brought this up earlier, and I think that's the biggest point of this is there's a lot of competition in what we do. There's less channels than there was, even a few months ago. But
yeah,
you're right. This channel does this. This channel does all these high-end box breaks. This channel, I've tried to do videos where I'm breaking boxes. I call it quick rip. So because I'm mostly buying like a blaster or something, I thought, this will be fun because it'll be short, little, easy videos, and they just don't get a lot of views. And I'm kind of like, well, is there any value in making this video then?
Yeah.
So, and it's a grind. It took me, years to get up to a certain number of subscribers, and I am monetized. So, I'm at a decent place that way. But what does the future of it look like? Do I want to just keep making a sales video because those are a little bit easier to make and edit, and I have to pull the orders anyway, so not really taking any extra time to do it? Do I want to make continue to make videos where I go to a show and I have video of me looking through boxes. How many more of those do we need? You know, that was something we needed earlier when there was a lot more learning to be had. But I get messages on old videos all the time, and it'll be like, so after you put it in the envelope, then what do you do? And I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, I have to go back and watch the video because I'm like, I don't even know what this is from.
Yeah.
I go, oh yeah, that's right. I seal it with this, or I put the sticker over the, you know, the opening to help seal it, you know, whatever it is. So, you know, I get most of my views, you know, sales day video will get views the day I post it. And then it kind of doesn't after that. Versus, you know, some of the more instructional videos and things that I did earlier keep getting views, and I keep getting, you know, feedback on them. And I think I would rather have more videos like that. So,
yeah,
you know, if I've got something I think I can put out educational or experience wise, you know, I'm going to do that. But I'm not going to put too much hardcore pressure on. I got to have four videos a week kind of thing.
Right.
Because I don't think that then you're not making that great a product because you just have to get it done. And honestly, I can really use that time in my business. I mean, it used to be Mondays would take me, you know, 4 or 5 hours to pull orders. Now it can be like a Wednesday takes me 5 hours, you know, to pull orders because I just have that much more, you know, going out. So I'd rather, you know, really focus on that part of it. When I started YouTube, I was only selling a few cards a week. You know, I had plenty of time to make videos, and like I said, it was new, so there was a lot of information I could put out that wasn't out there yet, which got me a lot of subscribers. My subscribers built up, you know, pretty quick because of that. You know, and I don't know how much of that is needed at this point.
Yeah, and honestly, when I make a video, essentially that's a day I don't get listing done because it takes that kind of time, and I'm on a part-time card schedule, right? Because I mean, today's a great example. I did the office job for 12 hours and then jumped on here. It's not a whole lot of listing that I did today, right? And it's the same when I make a video, even though I'm doing the videos because I do like that, and it's a skill I'm building up. It takes away from other things, other revenue generating things.
Yeah, one of the reasons I originally started the channel too was just to get myself out there and start building my brand and get customers to my eBay store. And I don't know that I get that much of that results anymore from that. It's more like the people who are in here. It's more other sellers and things like that.
Yeah.
Not that we don't all give each other business. You know, shout out to everybody who, you know, has bought from my store, because it's plenty of you who watch and are in the Discord and things like. You just mentioned Johnny, right? Had bought something from you. You know, so you can get some business from it, but I mean, we're mainly working in the group of people who are doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
So, which is exactly what we wanted. That was the point. That's what we were trying to do. My channel was originally more like broad audience. You know, it wasn't two other people who are selling. Dan says, hopefully we'll see you on eBay Live one day. I haven't applied for eBay Live in a while. I've done it like 7 or 8 times, and I never hear back from them, which is, I don't get it. I don't understand why. Yeah, and I'm not the only one who's had that experience. I've talked to lots of sellers who've had the same thing. I know they're very selective on who they allow into eBay Live, but don't advertise it and invite us and all that, you know. And I have a great store. I've got 60,000 listings. I've got, you know, 17,000 feedback. I've been on since 2014.
Yeah.
You know, you know, top seller plus. Like, I have done everything they've asked me to do, but you won't let me sell my cards live. It's really dumb. I don't get it at all. So I'll have to kind of see if that's maybe just beta and they're trying to limit who's on there for now, and they'll expand it later. I don't know, but I would love to do that because in the live, then I could get people to go to my store and I have my fixed listings and all that stuff. I don't want to build another whole set of fixed listing store on Whatnot or something like that. Try to build a whole new audience there and that kind of thing. I was really hoping to get on eBay Live early so that I could be one of the first people out there to build that
Sure.
audience, before more people came in and, started taking the viewers and that. So it's kind of unfortunate that this is where I'm at. And I've seen, like, there's Crook cards and there's a few bigger ones that do live, and I'm like, great, I get it. That's why they're on there. But I've seen a few smaller time sellers that are on eBay Live, and I'm like, how the hell are they allowed to do it? And I can't, And I've filled out the application. I've gone on there. I've given them everything they need to see, and I don't know. So, I mean, remember at the National when even I took like a half hour and talked to that guy from eBay Live. Like, they were pushing it there. Hey, you don't have to sell on one now. You can sell on eBay Live. This is great. We'd be happy to have you. Oh, good job. Blah blah blah. Yeah, you won't let me do it. Like, what's going on? Why are you promoting something? I mean, their sign at the National was eBay Live. That was their big thing. That they were posting. All their advertising pieces they were handing out was eBay Live. He gave me a free magnifying glass for talking to him for an hour. I have that stupid thing somewhere. this eBay branded magnifying glass.
I remember those.
Yeah, it's just mind-boggling. I don't understand why they won't let us in there to do it. It's really weird. But that's where we're at. I would love to do live non-sports selling. I think that there hasn't been much of that on eBay Live. I know there's plenty on Whatnot, not nearly as much as sports, but I think that could be something that I could kind of niche on eBay Live. But I don't know how good the sales are on there. If it's people are selling stuff for as much as they are on Whatnot, and but I don't have a big audience on Whatnot yet either. So I'm kind of at bottom shelf on both of them. I'd rather, really put my time into eBay Live if they'll let me on and do it. It's strange. Right. How about a non-liquidity list, like a cold? He means like a cold list.
Yeah.
Kind of like the old Beckett cold list. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how I would go about doing that. I'd have to think about that.
Yeah, that would be harder, I would think. I was hoping to sell 10K cards this year. I think that might be tough. With an 11K listing store, only sold 1758 so far. Yeah, I mean, the more listings you have, the more it does kind of help. If you can offer more quantity discounts, that'll help you sell more cards. Accept more offers. Like, there's some other things you can do if you're just looking at quantity of sales and not profitability. But
yeah,
goals are great, but they can't be make it or break it. If you don't meet a goal, you don't meet a goal. You try again next year. It's just to try to wave a carrot in front of you to try to, help you get to another level. Dan always liked watching my card show videos in the past. Yeah, and I haven't really done one in a while. I was kind of thinking about this the other day. So that might be something I do again, because what I buy now is a little different too. I'm looking more for non-sports stuff and a little bit more selective on the sports, since I have, so many listings and I'm kind of capped out right now, and I don't want to put that much growth into that area at this time. I will be again in the future, but right now I'm just kind of trying to buy stuff I know I will sell, as liquid as stuff as possible, and then stretching out on the non-sport stuff. But yeah, I'm hoping to do a couple more card shows this year. Videos, I haven't done one in a while. I usually like to do Madison. That's a good show to do a video on. I could just do a straight up video at the GOAT show,
Yeah.
looking at going to different dealers and that's probably needed at this point. But yeah, we'll see. Those are a lot of work because I got to have both batteries on me. I got to have the camera on my chest. So I have to constantly think about as I'm digging, am I in frame, and hold the cards up to the right spot. And then you're kind of losing your concentration. Then when I get back, I have like hours of footage because you just film, you don't know what you're going to get. And then you got to edit all that down. And I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, like, I have to mentally be prepared for the commitment of, filming a show video.
Yes.
Brandon says your following is there based on previous sweat equity, so I'm not sure the YouTube juice is worth the squeeze. Yeah, that's kind of it. I'm with Charlie. I'm really focused a lot on, and it's been downplayed and why I've brought it up quite a bit. I'm really focused on eBay followers. I'm over like 105, 106 or something like that now on the non-sports store. And I'm in my sports store, so I could look at this. I'm at 2,079 in the sports store. And growing that, means more to me than growing subscribers on YouTube. Not that I don't want subscribers on YouTube. We want people to watch this show, and I promise you, if I put out content, I'll do my best to make it something you want to see. But it just doesn't translate into as much, business value as followers on eBay does. Hold on a second here. Okay. I started making I started making weekly sales videos now, not daily.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never really done them daily. I always try to do like one or two a week. I have a lot of flavor in my sales, which I hear from subscribers like, man, you sell some weird stuff. So that's why I was kind of thought that was good. And I get a lot of feedback, I like your sales day videos. But there's a lot of times where I just don't want to do it. I have other things I want to do and use my time on. So I don't know. I kind of do it for a while, and then I sort of slow down from it for a while, and I don't know. I would try again with eBay Live. I heard they expanded recently. Excellent to know. Elf on the Shelf was banned. Did you ban somebody?
Yes, I did.
Okay. I was just talking about not many bots in the Discord. Well, guess what YouTube has? All kinds of bots.
Yeah.
So I have to deal with that all day long too. Let's see. Clearwater Cards and Collectibles is here. Watching Chasing Cardboard lately with their listing tips. Heard there's a way to keep your listings open even if you're out of stock. That way, when you get another copy, you just add the new quantity. Yes, you can do that for sure. And that should, because we've talked about the algorithm, the sale algorithm quite a bit. Once you get a sale, it's easier to get somebody in to buy. They put it in front of more eyes to sell another copy. So that's a good point. That's a great thing to do if you know you're going to get more of them. Keep it open and just add to that quantity when you have them.
Here's the thing, though, because I turned it on for a while when I was exploring with pick list listings. Because I wanted them to show in those pick lists even when they were out of stock, which I think is really their intent with it.
Yep.
But it really messed up my personal listings view. So when I would go look at my listings and go to do some maintenance on some things, I would see all those out of stock things.
Yep.
And it was super annoying to me, and I had to turn it back off.
Yeah, I get that too with like when you're, especially if you're trying to like end and sell similar, then you see all these unsold listings. I have to delete those because they drive me nuts. Me personally, I don't know that I would try to hang on to that and go back in and then add a quantity later. I don't do that. Generally, if I have 10 copies of something and they sell, it's fairly liquid card, and I could just do another listing with 2 or 3 more copies. Oops. As
You're
a
all
new
over the
listing.
place tonight.
I know, I'm doing this from my phone, dude. Last time I hit the wrong button. I hit the like my show logo icon, and then it brought me back to like setting up a new StreamYard. I'm like, I'm in a StreamYard. What are you doing? Yeah, you know, challenges of live video. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't know. I try to keep it as simple as possible. I just list stuff and I sell it and respond to offers, and I have almost 70,000 listings. I got enough to do that I try not to complicate things that I don't feel like have a ton of added value. You got 2,000 listings, sure, you could probably keep something open and add to it later, but I'd have to remember that I sold out of it and go back to it and add that quantity. And if I'm scanning it in, then it's like I can't scan those in because I have to add them separately. Because if you scan it in, it gets it's going to get a different SKU and all that. It's a new listing. So yeah, I try to keep it simple.
Here's what I would say though. Try it out. Try it for yourself. Yeah. You may find something we didn't find when we checked it out, right? Like, we swear by this team bag SKU system now until someone like you, watcher named Aretha Franklin, mentioned it. We did not have it on our radar, right? So I always encourage people to try things out. Adam mentioned it earlier that I try a lot of things out, even though he tells me, yeah, I'd stay away from that. I want to try it out myself. Maybe I find something that, Adam wasn't looking for when he tried it a couple years ago, So just give it a try. We're just telling you, hey, when we checked it out, we didn't care for it, and here's why.
I think one of the biggest keys to what we do, so I'm talking about low-end card selling. I mean, if you're in the game in a different way, this might not apply, but it's a lot of it is time management.
Yeah,
it's a labor-heavy thing. I have stacks of cards all the time. I got bags of cards. I got to move the inventory forward. I got to pull orders. You got to list. You got to bag. It's just a constant heavy workload when you get to bigger numbers anyway, that I just don't want to play with that little stuff. I can do so much more in that time, scanning in another batch, whatever, benefits me more. So Annie Kelly's here. Good evening, fellas. Just listing Heritage high number, tons of variations. Yeah, that's what I hear. I do want some of those big head cards from Celebration.
Yeah.
I hear they're really hard to pull.
I like Heritage, and I kind of want to get some, but I haven't gotten any yet.
I will get some, but I will get some out of value boxes. I'm not going to be buying wax or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with Allen and Ginter. I love Allen and Ginter, but I want mostly the weird cards.
Yeah.
I don't want a Evan Longoria base card like that, So I like to go in and buy the sharks, and I'll go buy the birds, and I'll buy the minis and the different trees, and I like that stuff because to me that's what that set's all about. The Harry Houdini cards and the presidential history stuff, like that's the stuff I want out of that. I don't want all the base baseball players. So
right,
But I agree. I think it's a fun product. I know when you rip it, when it first comes out, there's some profit in a lot of the cards. So, Heritage isn't a terrible play if you get it for the right price.
Yeah.
So, all right. Do you have anything else to add? Otherwise, I think I got like 60 orders while we were doing the show tonight. Yeah.
That's a good problem to have.
It's a good problem to have, yeah. So I'm going to kind of go take care of some of that. Got a couple of non-sport sales, too, on the other store during the show. So since I haven't done a sales day video, I guess I could share that. I sold this pretty sweet Kanye West card. from Top Trumps. I don't know if you can see that at all.
A little bit.
Yeah, the brightness wants to kick in.
Yeah.
There you go. You can kind of see it.
Yeah.
So it's all this Kanye West Top Trumps. Do you know what Top Trumps is?
No.
So it's like a trading card game, TCG, but it's all these different celebrities. I had a Warren Buffett card I just sold a couple days ago, but the Kanye West sold for $3.99. I sold one of the Hildebrand cards. Do you remember the Hildebrand set that I bought at the Green Bay show?
No.
Those chrome like fantasy art cards.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's.
So I sold one of those. I sold the Black Cat one, and that sold for $3.99.
Okay.
Sold one of the Star Wars Galaxy. It's Leia on a speeder bike there. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, you can see it.
That sold for $1.99, just a basic card. I sold a Marvel Universe Mephisto.
Okay.
So I got that big box of early 90s Marvel cards in that last non-sport buy I made. And that sold for $1.89. Here's another Hildebrand card that I sold. It's another one of those chrome ones. That sold for $2.99. Garbage Pail Kids card. Wind Sheila. So it's like this big exploded body on a car windshield.
Yeah.
Kind of love it. That's a 1987 Series 7. That sold for $2.99. This pretty sweet chrome Wizard Magazine She-Hulk promo card.
She-Hulk.
She-Hulk and Fairchild. That sold for $4.99. And then the Piece de Resistance. I sold a Daniel Negreanu, or how do you pronounce his name? Negreanu?
Netanyahu?
No, you ever watch poker? You ever watch like World Series of Poker?
Oh, yeah. Daniel Negreanu. Yeah.
I sold a World Series poker card made by Razer from 2006.
Okay.
And that sold for $3. So you guys want to see some weird sales? There you go. But yeah, so that's what the type of stuff that I have to deal with every day. So those are my sales from today in the non-sports store. So a decent day in there. It keeps growing little by little. Ooh, I just had another sale.
There you go.
Just now. Oh, it's one of my coins from my other stuff. So it's not a card.
Star Wars coins.
That's still good. Yep, a Star Wars coin. Still got some of that stuff left. So that's the right store to put it in. But yeah, that's our show for tonight. I don't really have anything else to add. You?
I don't either, no.
Oh, Max says Negranu. I had it. Like Negranu. I said it earlier tonight, and I had it, and it trips me up sometimes when I try to say it. Doyle Bronson. No, I didn't have any Doyle Bronson cards. I have a couple other Razer.
What about the Black
poker
Widow
cards? But they're not. No, I don't have any of the big names. But Dan is a pretty big name, so yeah. I wasn't surprised he sold. All right. Anything else?
Well, just one more thing. Don't forget, when you see the GOAT, we're talking about some of the greatest of all time.
Right on cue. And you can't sell what you don't list. We'll see you all next week, 8 Central Standard Time, every Wednesday. Me, Charlie, 5 or 6 goats, depends on the night. And we have a good time. Join us.
Take care.